It looks like inflation is starting to haunt you. Houses are becoming unaffordable, food is getting more expensive, and you realize you're not exactly a crypto prodigy. You start thinking about one thing: gold, the stuff that inflation can't touch. Unfortunately, you don't have any of that either. The glittering yellow metal is increasingly out of reach with your meager salary. So, you start complaining, muttering to yourself, if only I had lived during the gold rush era, I'd surely be rich now, even able to pass it on to my descendants, and they wouldn't have to worry about this terrible inflation. That's a nice thought, but sadly, it's not quite right. Besides the fact that you'd probably struggle to adapt to the living conditions of the gold rush, getting rich by mining gold was more like a dream that would never come true. But let's just say you really were alive during that time. 1849 to be precise. You hear a man named James W. Marshall found glittering specks while digging a mill race at Sutter's mill. The news spreads like wildfire. Hundreds of thousands of people from outside America flock to California. You see arrogant Europeans arriving, wanting to mine freely because they know the land belongs to a fellow European, John Sutter. There are also the narrow-eyed people from China who, based on your observations, live under harsh conditions and are here seeking a better life. And let's not forget the Mexicans whose land was snatched by the white man. Of course, they feel they deserve compensation. This isn't just a migration, it's hysteria. It's like when you realize food stocks are running low, so you start scrambling against each other. The difference is, this isn't food. This is the tool to get everything you want. You, who used to be just a manual laborer in your hometown, or a poor farmer in your village, or who knows, maybe a sailor who spent most of your life on the ocean, are now a prospector on land you believe holds the key to a stable life. Forget your nickname back home. Now you are one of the 49ers. Catchy, right? Because the gold rush phenomenon started in 1849, all the miners are called 49ers. Your status will forever be remembered in history, and if you're lucky, you'll become one of the ghosts in Scooby-Doo. Anyway, whatever you were doing before, it's different now. You carry a shovel, a pickaxe, and the foolish dream that fortune lies beneath the first rock you turn over. So far, it all sounds normal. So why am I scaring you by saying this isn't the right thing? Well, simply because it is. Getting involved in this hysteria is like gambling. You are risking everything. Your health, your dignity, your capital, and even your life. I mean, the journey itself is deadly. Where did you come from? Cape Horn? Didn't that perilous voyage already drain your energy? Or maybe you came through a vast desert full of cacti and rattlesnakes. What's certain is that by the time you arrive at Sutter's Mill, you are already exhausted and sick. Not to mention, after reaching the head of the river, you have to build a camp. This is 1849. Skyscrapers haven't even become a brilliant idea in America. There are only trees or dry land around you, and you certainly hate lying in the rain or being bitten by a coyote while fast asleep. So you and thousands of other people start building tents. The number is enough to be called a new settlement. It only takes one night, and you can already enjoy a vague sense of comfort, protected from the heat and rain, with simple materials like tarps and tree branches making up your shack. But you predicted this would happen. You know very well that leaving your homeland means being ready to be a hobo in a foreign country. The problem is that there is no government, no police in this place. Only the law you create yourself. Mining law. You will gather with other prospectors and you start defining the boundaries of each person's claim. Let's say everyone has a territory of 10 to 30 feet along the river. Then you register it with someone appointed as the administrator. And like I said, there are no police. If there's a claim dispute or theft, you don't wait for a sheriff. You will hold an impromptu court and hand down swift and brutal punishment. Whipping, expulsion, or worst of all, hanging. Horrible, but hey, 1849. In an era where colonialism is still hot news, you can't trust anyone who comes from another region. If you're white, Mexicans and Chinese will certainly hate you, just as you look down on them. The phrase, "this place isn't big enough for the two of us," might apply and lead you to an act of violence. And because the mining areas are still quite remote, basic necessities and resources coming in will have a high price. Remember, everything is expensive now because of inflation, but in 1849, 50 cents was a lot of money. Now imagine in that year you had to buy an egg for $1. Worse yet, long before MLM scams appeared, you would be fooled by sellers of mining equipment. If you didn't bring a shovel or pickaxe from your hometown, you're done for. Those sellers will offer them to you at an unreasonable price. You haven't even started working, but this treasure hunt has already drained your capital. If you prepared everything from the start, does that mean you are guaranteed to live safely? Not necessarily. Something exhausting is about to begin. The sun has just risen, and you are already in the river. No holidays, no rest. Your days are dominated by two things: cold water and sweat. You have to stand for hours in river water that's ice cold if winter is near. Not standing upright, but bending over while holding a pan. This is panning, and it is the earliest process. You fill the pan with mud and gravel, then move it in a careful circular motion, letting the large gravel wash away and ensuring the heavier sand, including the gold, stays at the bottom of the pan. Or if you have more capital, you'll try a sluice box. More efficient. The long wooden box has internal barriers positioned along the river. Water is channeled into it, and the gold-bearing muck is thrown in. Heavy metals like gold will get caught behind the riffles, but I tell you, whichever way you choose, this work is truly physically destructive. Cold water causes arthritis and rheumatism. The hunched posture causes chronic back pain. And worst of all, there's the risk of diseases like cholera or dysentery running rampant due to the terrible sanitation. Understandably, 1849. You might imagine many prospectors died from work accidents or racially motivated violence, but no. In many cases, prospectors died from disease, something invisible. To be fair, you came to the mine not exactly healthy. Your work in the river only accelerates that death. Maybe in the end you'll hear that the gold mine is cursed because more and more people are dying. But your brain, which is only thinking about instant wealth, of course doesn't care. As long as it's not you who dies, there's no reason to stop. After all, the gold fever is the only fever that can cure you, right? How much did you find anyway? Well, most of you, most of the time, nothing. Yep, you spend 2/3 of your day for uncertain results. I told you, this is just like gambling. Over and over, you pan gravel and mud, pour out the water, and don't find any yellow specks. Gold is not evenly distributed. Some people might have lucky strikes, and their fate changes overnight. But well, some. It seems good fortune doesn't favor everyone, as usual. Every night, you return to camp with new hope. You'll clean the sluice box, collect the gold dust stored there, and gather it to be weighed. Your hard work all day sometimes doesn't even yield an ounce. Even if it's little, you still have to be careful. Your gold must always be hidden. No banks, no reliable law. Suspicion is rampant. Everyone in the camp is your neighbor, and also someone ready to rob your gold at any time. Mental pressure is also deadly. People go insane from exhaustion, isolation, and failure. When hope dies, some choose suicide, others turn to liquor and gambling. The gold rush is a terrible test of character. So yeah, it's horrible. I understand that wealth is everyone's dream, including yours. Inflation is indeed scary, and gold is a good solution. But the gold rush is not the way you want. Small prospectors like you can't compete, especially when the capitalists start coming in with bigger sluice boxes. Many give up and go home, poorer than when they arrived, but with an incredible story. In fact, the ones who actually got rich in this phenomenon were not the miners like you, but the sellers of mining tools. One shovel sold could cost several dollars. Now imagine if tens of thousands of people are buying. The bright side? You became part of history. The 49ers, the desperate men who mined gold in California and ultimately went home empty-handed. Would you like me to tell you about the economic impact the gold rush actually had on California and the United States?